Hello, welcome back. This video is to talk to you guys about something I said on Instagram that generated a response that made me really think about the expectations you guys are setting for yourself. And I feel like it's my job to really help you sort of change your expectations so that you're not frustrated all the time. I said something in my stories on Instagram about how we are never going to speak English in the same way as we speak our first language. And I said, your English is not going to be the same as your first language, as your native language. Let it go. Learn to be okay with that because it's just not going to be the same. And somebody replied and he asked me this: why do you say this? These were his words. Why do you say this? Why do you not think that we can speak English in the same way we speak our first language? Just because nobody has done it doesn't mean we can't do it, right? So my reply was, I say this because of neuroscience. Your brain responds differently to your native language and a foreign language. And I want to talk to you guys about this today. I'm not saying that you are not going to speak great English one day, so you should just settle for rubbish English. English is not my language either. I have learned to speak English from the age of 15. Until I was 15, I had not had any English in my life. Nothing, okay? I started when I was 15. Now you may be thinking, oh, but 15 is so young. That's the reason why you learned so well. No, 15 is young, it's true. But when it comes to neuroscience, 15 is not an age that allows you to acquire a language as you would when you were younger. So when you're 15, you do not acquire language to a native level. Okay, this is science, guys. This is just how the brain is. So yes, I have learned to speak English through a lot of exposure. So I was in England. English was a huge part of my life. It was never 100% of my life because I lived with my parents and my brothers and we always spoke Portuguese at home. My weekends were all about spending time with some family members who were there, which means we were speaking Portuguese. I was always emailing my friends in Brazil back in the day and calling them and speaking Portuguese. So Portuguese was a massive part of my life every single day during the 12 years that I lived in England. So I need you to know that English was never 100% of my life. Never, ever. Okay? Just to show you how you can, in fact, really learn the language and you can reach a level that makes you so proud of yourself and so happy with what you've achieved simply from having enough exposure, even if it's not 100% of the time, but enough daily exposure. Now, the daily thing changes everything because your brain needs to be reminded of what you're learning. So that's where the daily thing comes in. Daily exposure and conscious effort. So learning for me happened in a very conscious way because I would listen to English, I would hear what people were saying around me, and then I would come home and I would repeat some of those sentences I heard out loud. Like I would place myself in front of a mirror, in front of the mirror, and watch myself speak and look at what my mouth was doing, because when I was listening to people, I was watching what their mouths were doing, and I wanted to see if I was using the right muscles. I wasn't thinking about muscles because I didn't know, but I wanted to see if it looked the same or similar. And so I learned through a lot of conscious effort to really listen. I was not concerned about being able to speak. I just felt that I needed to understand what people were saying. So I was just really listening and then coming home and in front of the mirror and practicing repeating those sentences I was hearing. The same from things I was hearing in real life. So at school, at the bus stop, at the supermarket, whatever my cousin's husband was saying to her, I was always listening. And also things I was watching on TV. So I watched a lot of television when I was learning. So I was every day I would come home from school and I would watch television every single day. It was my thing. And then on the weekends, more telly. I would repeat what they were saying, not everything, but short sentences that I could kind of put all the words together. I would repeat. And I used a lot of English subtitles at that time. So the beginning of my journey when I was watching telly was all about English subtitles, because I had a lot of exposure just through listening when I was at school, when I was living life in England. So when I was watching television, it was important for me to have this extra help, so this aid from subtitles where I could see what they were saying. This really helped me too. So combining the two can be a great strategy. Never only using subtitles, because then you're not developing your listening and you're still going to be stuck. So that's not going to help. But combining the two could be a useful strategy. So I was doing all of that. So English, although English was unconscious to a certain degree, because I was exposed to the language and some things I was learning without knowing how I was learning it, there was a lot of conscious effort put into my learning. So yes, you can in fact reach a level of English that you speak really well, that you understand what people are saying, that you are able to explain yourself in an accurate way, in a detailed way, that you feel like you could be in most situations and you would find a way to handle that in English. And that's incredible. And I'm not just talking about myself as an example. Of course, I am an example of that. But there are so many English speakers who don't speak English as a native language and do an absolute cracking job. They do such a good job. I think it's just absolutely amazing. I love listening to those people like me who have worked very hard to reach this level of spoken English. So yes, that's achievable and that's amazing. What else do you need? My question is, why do you need English to be exactly the same as your native language? So if you are Brazilian like me, why does it have to be exactly the same as it is for Portuguese in your brain? It doesn't. Why is it that for you to feel good about your English has to be something that feels natural all the time? English is not a natural language for you because your brain went through a process to be able to learn this language. Whereas with your native language, your brain just absorbed it, took it in, and that was it. There was no conscious effort. There was no effort involved in learning a native language. Whereas in learning a foreign language, there's always effort for your brain. So when you look at how the brain responds to language, it's very clear how having this type of expectation is going to be your demise. This means is going to be what frustrates you the most and what makes you unable to fully acknowledge the great work you're doing and how good your English may be, because you're always looking to reach a level that you cannot reach. So how are you going to be happy with your English? How are you going to respond to the way you speak in a way that kind of makes you remotely proud of yourself? You're always going to be thinking that you're 1,000 steps behind and you're going to be trying to catch up, but you cannot catch up. So it's a waste of energy. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of anything and everything regarding your learning. So I don't say that because I'm trying to put you down. To put you down is to make you feel bad about yourself. I say that so that you can set your goals and your expectations straight so that you can actually reach the goals you have for yourself. The question about, if just because nobody has done it doesn't mean we can't do it, right? Wrong. Some things cannot be done. Some things cannot be done. This is one of them. Okay, and you will hear non-native speakers speaking fantastic English that will blow your mind, that will make you think this person has done it. Well, guess what? They know a lot and they may speak outstanding English that really makes you wonder how they reached that level. Yes, but you are not inside that person's brain to see the effort that person's brain is making to be able to produce language in that way. And you don't know that person's level of native speaking. Usually when a person speaks their native language really, really well, with a great range of vocabulary and very neat grammar, they tend to be able to bring that into a foreign language more easily. Doesn't mean they're going to be able to, but more easily. So you may think that English is fantastic, but you can be sure that their spoken skills in their native language is even better. This is my point, okay? So you can, I truly, fully believe that you can reach an outstanding level of spoken English if you are exposed to English enough, if you work hard, if you have a proper strategy. But please do not expect to be able to speak English in the exact same way you speak your native language, because that is going to lead to endless frustration. This is from a non-native speaker just like you. Thank you for watching. See you next time.